Hello, audiences of the vCIES 2020. My name is Byung-Gyu Kong, and our co-authors are Clarence Collins, Audrey Amrain Beersley, Alejandra Enriquez Gates, and Ruhi Khan. This is the presentation recording of a program evaluation of an international collaboration to better train, support, and prepare teachers in Saudi Arabia. For the next 20 minutes, we will present on the program evaluation of the Study Abroad Professional Development Program for the teachers in Saudi Arabia, implemented from 2018 to 2019. Through this presentation, we hope we can share our experience with the broader community of international education who would like to design and implement effective study abroad in service teacher exchange programs. This presentation consists of 5 parts. First, we will introduce the Study Abroad Professional Development Program for the teachers in Saudi Arabia in general. Second, we will debrief how the program evaluation was designed and implemented. In the third and fourth section, we will share our evaluation research findings. And at the section 5, we will share our conclusion. The idea of sending teachers to foreign countries for their professional development is not new at all. But in terms of the scale of the project, the Saudi Arabian case seems unique, as it can be defined as a massive-scale study abroad professional development program for the teachers, aiming to send more than 25,000 teachers. Such a large-scale international project in education was available in that the Saudi Arabian government experienced a regime change, and that motivated education reform and education transfer from the foreign countries. The Saudi Arabian government aims to mobilize foreign education knowledge and experience by using teachers coming back home as agents of change. This is the logic model of the program. This program uses vast education network and resources of the hosting institutions as a program input. This includes not only experts and faculties in the institutions, but also K-12 schools and their teachers. Based on such inputs, this program is supposed to provide professional development courses, faculty mentoring, guided immersion in K-12 schools, language and cultural courses. The short-term expected outcome is to raise teacher competencies in technical skills, knowledge, leadership, intercultural understanding, and English language skills. This short-term outcome was expected to provide momentum in Saudi Arabia through their raised leadership for change, ultimately bringing transformation of the Saudi Arabian educational system. From this slide, we will introduce the program details to show you how the program was implemented.
Arizona State University had the opportunity to host teachers from Saudi Arabia for 1 year from February 2018 to February 2019. The timeline outlines how the phases of the program are spread out throughout the year and overlap to provide comprehensive experiences that prepare them to become change agents and educational leaders. Phase 1 provides the educators with an opportunity to learn about American culture and the expectations of the program. Phase 2 engages the educators in intensive English classes to increase their proficiency in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Phase 3 enhances the educators' skills as teacher leaders and develops their capacity to be lifelong learners. Phase 4 provides school immersion opportunities in diverse educational institutions and programs through ASU's school and community partnerships for 4 consecutive months. The school immersion phase has specific requirements for a successful and meaningful experience: 30 hours a week, Monday through Thursday for an average of 3 weeks a month, and 7.5 hours a day. Every fellow is assigned to one district mentor whose role and grade level matches their corresponding role in their school in Saudi Arabia. Phase 5 features the action research projects developed by every participant, presented to a panel of faculty representing ASU and partnering schools. Phase 6 takes place once the fellows have returned to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and it entails the fellows networking with like-minded professionals and alumni, mobilized to lead change in their education communities, locally, regionally, and nationally. Teacher participants: 46 fellows from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 27 English subject teachers, 19 non-English subject teachers.
Then let's see how this study abroad program for the Saudi Arabian teachers was evaluated. This program evaluation research of the studying abroad Saudi Arabian teachers contributes to the following studies. First, this study speaks to the education transfer studies, one of the most highlighted research topics in the comparative and international education studies. Unfortunately, most of the existing studies of the education transfer in CIES focuses on the cases where policy and policy discourse is transferred by policymakers and scholars traveling abroad. That's been a kind of cliche of this genre, but this study expanded its research territory by adding the case where education practice was transferred by teachers and practitioners. Second, this study contributes to the studies of teacher education and training. Most of the existing studies stress the increase of intercultural competency of the teachers through the foreign experiences. But this study explores how the study abroad program nurtures teacher efficacy and competency in general. So, for the evaluation of this program, we, the evaluators, had to figure out how to evaluate the study abroad teachers' professional development program designed to transform national education system. This program is not simple but multidimensional. We designed this evaluation research to use both quantitative and qualitative method. In the quantitative evaluation, we'd like to measure the amount of change in competency and mindset. For this, we assume that this program can be defined as an amalgam of 3 different programs. First, this program is a study abroad program, targeting to raise language skills and cross-national understanding. Second, this program is one of the policy measures to achieve national education reform agenda, having very specific needs and objectives given by the sponsor government. Third, this program is for the professional development of the teachers, and one of the major indicators can be teacher efficacy. In the qualitative evaluation, we focused on what was transferred to the Saudi Arabian teachers as a result of this study abroad program. For this, we asked how the teachers interpreted the government intention of this program, memorable critical instances that most influenced their mindset, and their future plan after the program. This is more detailed information of our evaluation methods. For the quantitative evaluation, We sampled 40 participants for the pre- and post-survey to run t-tests and measure effect size. For the qualitative evaluation, we interviewed 5 individuals through convenience sampling. This is the evaluation process we followed. We assumed that we did a pre-test to measure the prior level of teacher competencies, and their competencies might be influenced by the program intervention, so that we would do a post-test measuring change in their competencies. Also, through the additional interviews, we tried to figure out what they learned through this program experience.
I'm now going to talk about the findings from our evaluation as far as the quantitative data. So in order to do this, we wanted to measure the degree of change from the responses of our participants over the course of the program. So we used pre- and post-test design to assess the difference that participants' perceptions were statistically significant. We did this using t-tests. And then to get some practical understandings, we also calculated effect sizes using Cohen's d. And I will talk more about this as we look at the data. On this slide, we're going to look at teacher efficacy results. So this was, again, part of the survey looking at teacher efficacy or teachers' confidence in their abilities. We have calculated and presented here the t-test data, which is represented by the means and standard deviations, as well as the effect size at the bottom. And so what we can see between the pre and the post, between both groups of teachers, is an increase from the pre to the post. While all of the scores here fall between 4 and 5, 4 represented that the teachers felt quite a bit confident, and 5 on the Likert scale was a great deal confident. So we do see this increase, that they increase their confidence over time of the program. It is statistically significant for English language teachers, meaning that this was not due to chance. And while the non-English language teachers marked an increase as well, we can't say this may not have been due to chance. That's what statistical significance enables us to say and interpret about the data. As far as effect sizes go, both groups showed a moderate increase. So from the practical standpoint, we saw a moderate increase in their teacher efficacy from pre to post. The program-specific outcomes were set by the Ministry of Education, and these outcomes differed for English language teachers compared to non-English language teachers. For ease of readability, we did not include the t-test analysis here, but we reported on the effect size. So what we saw was that among the English language teachers and non-English language teachers, they reported a increase in their understanding or recognition, I should say, the recognition of how important these technical competencies were over the duration of the program. There was that increase. However, when we look at the bottom row down here with self-confidence and technical competencies, we actually see a decrease in the reported confidence for non-English language teachers. So what that means is that even though all participants increase their understanding of the technical competencies over the duration of the program, the English language teachers reported they were more confident in their ability to enact in these competencies compared to the non-English language teachers who indicated or showed a slight decline in their confidence of implementing these things. And then lastly, we looked at knowledge of theories and models related to the technical competencies, and both groups showed a moderate level of increase in their knowledge of theories and models. Looking at cross-national understanding of education, which really means the teacher participants' understanding of the U.S. education system. When we look at the data here, we see that among English language teachers, their change in their understanding of the U.S. education system was statistically significant and posted a very large effect size here. It also increased among non-English language teachers, but to a moderate effect size. But their change and increase in understanding the U.S. education system was not statistically significant as it was with the English language teachers. Mobilization of knowledge and transferability of skills on the survey was designed to get an understanding of how the perception was among the KSA participants and their ability to take what they learned here in the United States or take assets of education systems in the U.S. and transfer those to KSA. And so there is actually no difference between the pre and post survey responses among English language teachers. And among non-English language teachers, we saw actually a decrease in their belief in their ability to mobilize or transfer the skills. The final statistical element we looked at with the program evaluation was English proficiency. Again, these tests were created and administered by Global Launch, which is ASU's platform to provide language training for international students. So the evaluators had nothing to do with the design of these tests. And again, these tests were designed to assess listening, which included grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, and also speaking, which was grammar, syntax, usage, and picture identification. And once again, we calculated t-test to look at the statistical difference from pre to post in these English tests, as well as Cohen's d. The effect size using Cohen's d to get that practical understanding of any changes. And so what we found was that KSA teacher participants improved their English speaking, reading, and listening by participating in this training, and all English results were statistically and practically significant for each of the 46 KSA participants. Obviously, within that range, even though every participant increased, the increases obviously varied. And reflecting on this English proficiency test, as well as our pre and post survey, looking at efficacy, we do believe that English language teachers, we saw that English language teachers had higher overall scores. And while everything was not necessarily statistically significant, we do believe there seems to be a connection between English proficiency and the outcomes or perception of their ability to go forth with what they've learned. So put differently, we think the extent to which participants knew and understood English has an impact on the effects experienced by the participants through this particular program.
Then let's look at what are the findings from the qualitative analysis. The interviewees responded to the questions asking their interpretation of the government's reform effort, source of information, and the most merited education method under this reform in their personal opinion. The interviewees' response generally converged. They interpreted that the government tried to catch up with the advanced economy by learning from their best practice. However, they said they gained such understanding not directly from the government, but rather from informal communication channels like colleagues and other news media. When they were requested to suggest the most merited educational method under this reform, their choice also converged to some of the specific methods the government's already emphasized for their reform. When it comes to their curricular experiences, the interviewees said School Immersion had an impact. One of the interviewees said, "When I was in School Immersion, there was the transfer and reflect of the education system and practice in the U.S., that we have different education system in KSA." Oral interviewees emphasized that they were most impressed by the flexibility, diversity, and quality of the learning environment. One of the interviewees, who brought her entire family, especially pointed out that she also learned as a parent who sent their children to the local school. She said, "My kids like to ask questions, and the teacher answers for them. Some questions were not acceptable in Saudi Arabia, with teachers saying, 'Go to your mom and ask her.' But here, the teachers accept them. Their experience also influenced me." All the oral interviewees said many different things for the questions related to their sense-making and critical experiences. They answered only one thing when they were asked to tell us about their future plan back at home country. There was a student-and-teacher relationship. They commonly responded that they will dedicate more on student-teacher relationship to give individual care and customized learning for each student. This is our final conclusion of the evaluation study. This program evaluation research found that study abroad professional development programs for teachers can increase general teacher efficacy level. This program evaluation provided multiple evidence that teachers' pedagogic and cross-national educational understanding increased, but that does not guarantee that they are ready to implement it at their home context with that much high desire. Also, there seems still a gap between the policy enactment and teachers' practice and recognition. Thus, to increase the effectiveness of the study abroad programs, the government needs to communicate more clearly with the teacher participants, delivering their policy message and expectation. Thank you for watching our presentation recording so far. If you have any question, please contact the authors below or leave your comment at the vCIES webpage where our presentation is uploaded.